Good afternoon, everyone. I just got back from a great walk with my dog, Tucker. I can only walk one of them because he will actually go 5 miles with me every day, where Bailey is a little bit too old to do that. So we just had a really nice walk. He's like laid out on the floor here. But I just want to share with you what my meal is now that I've gotten home. So I got into this craze kind of by mistake. So we had kind of a challenge in a Facebook group that I'm in to get on board with green smoothies. And of course I'm like, yeah, I'm not doing that. Well, I ended up doing that, and I'm still doing that. I don't have them every day, but I crave them. My body craves them. Whole foods with some other stuff, protein powder, vegetables, obviously greens. That's why we're into green smoothies. They do look green in color, but you get a whole bunch of leafy greens in your diet if you are not a person that enjoys leafy greens. I like leafy greens. I love salads. I'm all over salads, but I don't eat them every day, okay? So this has been a really nice thing to have in my little food pantry, per se, of things that I can reach for and make really quick. They're portable, and I'll show you why that works for me. So when I make my smoothies, we have a Vitamix. Very much a proponent of the Vitamix. Love it. It's a great mixer, great to make smoothies. We make soup in it, we make sorbet in it. So yeah, it's very versatile. It's a wonderful tool in your kitchen. It's a wonderful thing to have. So I'm gonna run you through my smoothie this morning, or this afternoon actually. I don't like follow a recipe when it comes to this. I have just figured out what I like, and it's usually about what I have around the house on hand. It just is. So, and Scott had to teach me this because he's a smoothie person every morning, where I have never been that person. I get pretty chilled when I drink cold stuff. So if I didn't crave them so much, it would probably be not something I gravitate towards, but they are really good. So you're supposed to have like, I don't know, a third of the amount of frozen stuff. And then you want to have like 2/3 full of greens. And then you can like smidgen out of each of those categories what other stuff you put in there. Okay, so like frozen stuff, like even if you're gonna use bananas in here or whatever, you can freeze those things, and that would, you know, give it a thicker consistency, more like a shake per se. Does that make sense? So again, I am not like an expert at this at all. I just wanna show you what I'm doing. So I start with blueberries, frozen blueberries, because I really love blueberries, and I can't even really say it tastes like blueberries. Now I make a mango one too with vanilla protein powder, and then I can really taste the fruit. This one, I'll be honest with you, I'm more after it for the chocolate flavor. So, and I'll show you how I can get that pretty concentrated in this little treat that I'm making that is super good for me, right? It's all whole foods. So I'm gonna start out with some blueberries. And like I say, I don't have measurements for y'all, so you'll just have to try it on your own. So there's my blueberries. Add some ice. That's about 2 cups of ice. I actually did kind of measure that. I put avocado in here. Okay, so now I don't know if you've ever dealt with like avocados. I am an avocado lover. It's one of those non-negotiables for me. Any time of year I have avocados in the house because I love them. I love them on salads, and now I've started using them in my smoothies because it would be considered a good fat. So I'm just running my knife around this, okay? And then if you twist it, of course there's a huge pit in the middle. And to get that out, again, take your knife, and if you, I didn't get a very good middle on that. Okay, and then you can just twist. Oh, it's not gonna work for me now. Well, generally speaking, the pit comes right out, you guys. I think I might have hit it a couple too many times, so I'm not gonna deal with that, but that generally works. I've had this in the fridge, and that might be part of the difference, is that it's a little bit firmer than an avocado that you would probably put on a salad. So I apologize for that, but you've probably seen it done. So I'm gonna just scoop out half of an avocado. That's all that I want here. Beauty. Okay, banana. I do put banana in here. It can be an overpowering flavor. So depending on how you like the flavor of banana, you would want to be cautious on that. But I use about a half a banana in here. Okay, and then, now here's kind of where you can mix it up, of course, too. So if you want your smoothie sweeter, dates are what you can put in there. In a whole blender full, I would probably put at least 3 dates in a whole blender full if you want it sweeter. I don't necessarily need it sweeter, so I'm good there. Coconut flakes, unsweetened coconut flakes. I do put this in here because I love the flavor of chocolate and coconut together. And you do get a hint of the coconut flavor. So again, I'm not measuring, I'm just kind of eyeballing what I have put in there in the past, okay? The next thing I put in there is cacao powder. Now let's talk about cacao powder. Okay, so this is not cocoa powder, all right? So cacao powder has got more nutrients in it. It would be considered more of a whole food in my mind because it is not as processed as cocoa would be. Okay, does that make sense? So it's processed at really low temperatures. Therefore, it retains a higher amount of the enzymes in there, minerals, nutrients. It is rich in selenium, magnesium, chromium, tryptophan, and high in antioxidants, which you know, right? You've heard like dark chocolate is high in antioxidants. This is super rich in antioxidants. So it's made by cold pressing those beans, and it's unroasted then. So therefore, it retains all those enzymes and great antioxidant properties. Okay, so you can use cacao powder in place of cocoa powder, but it's going to be more bitter, okay, because it's not as processed. So it's a pretty strong flavor. Now I have a scoop in here. This is actually a scoop that was left over from my protein powder when I'd emptied one bag because it comes with that, and now I just keep it in here. So I put in 1 full scoop of cacao powder for those reasons. Okay, so more than just the flavor, I want the nutrition out of there. Does that make sense? Okay, now we're putting in protein powder. I'm not a super big meat eater or other forms of protein. Not that I don't, but I like vegetables much more. So in order to get sufficient protein, I highly recommend Plexus Lean protein powder for a number of reasons, which I have done a separate video on, and I'll probably just include it in the comments. But it's a meal replacement. If you look at the back label, it is very complete in what it has in there. And I think the source of protein and how they have derived that is superior to other methods and other proteins out on the market. And again, I won't get into that nitty gritty because I've done a previous video on that, okay? All right, so now we're down to our greens, all right? So our greens, I love these Tupperware modular mates, you guys. But these are called the Fridge Smart containers. These are called the ones for your cabinets, modular mates. These are considered the Fridge Smart. I think they're worth their price because it does keep produce much fresher, much fresher for a much longer time. So I have spinach and kale and some leftover like mix from a meal I catered. So I have a little bit of greens, different greens, and I am packing this thing. And the reason why is this stuff is basically gonna liquefy, right? So it's gonna go down to like nothing. So the more I can get in there, the better. Now, one more thing that I'm gonna throw in here, and I don't always have this on hand, but I had some leftover beets frozen in our freezer. And I thought, what a great way for me to use these. I like beets on salads, cold beets, like cooked, but I'm not big into hot as a vegetable, a hot vegetable. So I've been kind of adding some of these beets in here too, because they are super good for you. They're considered a superfood as well, okay, if you didn't know that. Now the last thing we need here is liquid. So nothing's gonna process here. It's gonna be a disaster unless you add sufficient liquid. So you've got a number of choices. I use almond milk, and I've got that out here, and water. Coconut milk works great. You can use like that Bai coconut water, pretty much whatever you want, but we do need sufficient liquid in this to make it blend properly. Otherwise it kind of gets all gummed up and that's never good. So we are gonna add, so it gets about 3/4 of the way where you can see that liquid coming up. Does that make sense? And we can always add more if it gets to be a little not blending well. Okay, so now I apologize ahead of time because this is gonna get noisy, but I don't process stuff super long. I know for some people the consistency is a really big deal. For me, it's not. So it doesn't matter to me if it's not super, super smooth. Does that make sense? Okay, here we go. So you start at a low. You know, the Vitamix has like a 1 to 10 thing, dial. So you start at low and then just turn it on. Does get gummed up, so you just use this. It's all good. Okay, for me that was 34 seconds. Like, you know, some people are gonna wanna process it longer because they are not gonna want it grainy at all or any type of texture. For me, that is not a big deal. So these are kind of a mess to make, which you just saw. It's a lot of ingredients. When I make these, I want enough for more than one day, okay? So I use like canning jars. And again, these are like super portable, right? So if I am on my way to work one evening or whatever, I can fill this thing up and I've got supper on the run. I just keep them in the fridge. Again, to me, it's not super important that they stay icy cold. That doesn't matter. I do have a green leaf here yet hanging on the side, so that'll be weird, but can you see that? Yeah, they didn't get all quite in. But see how nice? And the color is so rich. And of course, I think that's coming from that cacao powder, of course, and the beets, and of course the greens and the blueberries. So it honestly is a beautiful purple, deep, deep purple color. And then I just fill up a couple of these and I drink it right from here. That way you can shake it up again because it will kind of start to separate the longer you keep it in your fridge. I try and have these both now consumed within the next couple days. So one for me now, one for me later. And I know that looks like a lot, but when you think about it, did you see what went in there? Everything is good for me. Whole foods. I know exactly what is in there. I know this is gonna fill me up and they're delicious. So it's super chocolatey, and with the coconut, it almost tastes, you know, like an Almond Joy, which is delicious to me. So oh, it's really good, you guys. And you can adjust the taste to you. So if you want it more chocolatey, you add more. And like I say, if you wanted it sweeter, you can add more dates. So there, of course, are tons of recipes out there. You'll just have to do a trial and error, but this is what I really like. And cheers to you. I hope you have something good on your menu plan today. And yeah, let me know what you think. And if you are into green smoothies, and if you want more information about the lean protein, please reach out to me. I can talk about it all day long. I really believe it's a superior product to anything else out on the market right now, okay? Have a great rest of your day.